So, kicking us off, we have a nice flyweight bout here between two ranked fighters here. It's pretty crazy to see how high their Tapology rankings are, given how fresh they are in the UFC game. But we do have Amir Albazi here. He's taking on Zhalgas Zhumagulov. Really cool name. So,
can you tell that this man has had to say that name before, though? Can you tell that man has had to say that name before? Come on now. Let's rewind a few cards. This man is just rolling off the tongue with them. Get out of here. My God. Standing in front of the mirror before we start recording. Zhumagulov, don't fuck that up.
No, this one was easy. There's some few ones that come up in this card that I definitely had to do that for.
Let's roll, baby.
So, we were supposed to see this fight back in November, but it was canceled prior to the event. Both guys, they come in with similar records. We got 13-1 for Albazi. We got 13-4 for Zhumagulov. So, very similar in records. Albazi, he made his UFC debut back in July, I believe, where he did the triangle choke to Malcolm Gordon in the first round. So that was very impressive. Obviously, what's notable for us is that his lone loss in his fighting career came to our boy Shorty Torres, which we actually just had the pleasure of interviewing. If you haven't checked that out, full video is up on YouTube there, so give that a look. But that was great, and it's crazy to see that his only loss was to our boy there. So he's going to be looking to make a real name for himself in the UFC here. Zhumagulov, similar story. He made his UFC debut back in July. He did fall short to Raulian Palva, I believe, in unanimous decision. He does have a few notable wins in the Fight Nights Global, including a victory against Tyson Nam, which we'll see on Wednesday. So, this one's going to be a close one. Do you see any sort of edge here, or what do you see here, man?
Well, it's funny. I kind of want to broaden this topic a little bit because since you and I have started doing this, let's have a quick chat, right? The flyweight division all of a sudden has just bloomed into this beautiful flower that's just blooming along with us. We have to accept that this is kind of something that we're riding with the tide, if you will. We saw Davison Figueiredo, have his run in the UFC, and hold and behold, we sit down with Jose Shorty Torres, who's kind of chasing that double champ dream in Brave right now. So, funny enough, you mentioned that the fight with Amir Albazi. Yeah, I mean that was a pretty handy decision for Jose, and I think we saw him come back with the win against Ryan Curtis. But at the end of the day, we have to look at the Malcolm Gordon fight. We talked about that. We analyzed that one to absolute perfection. We actually thought that Malcolm Gordon would try his best to stand on to run the stand-up game, but I think in all facets of the game, Albazi was a little bit ahead of him. Wouldn't you say? I think that was kind of the big thing for that fight. I mean, I think Amir would have been able to finish that fight wherever he wanted, to be quite.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were definitely rooting on our boy Malcolm Gordon here from Canada, I believe. But Amir was just too much on that day and was able to show the versatility of his game.
That's the thing. The fight is the fight, right? That's all we can keep saying is the fight is the fight. Yeah. So when we look at your boy Zhumagulov, the one thing about him is I feel like when we say small fighters, we're obviously talking about flyweights, right? We know what we're getting into, but a part of me thinks he kind of fights a little small too. He's 5'4". He like a 5'4" Tyson best use his speed and movement as best as he possibly can. You know what I mean? I felt like he holds it close to his chest. He's got some good movement, good kicks, that kind of thing. And he's going to have to use his whole game against Amir Albazi. We've seen him pretty much, try to showcase his whole game. So for me, I think there's going to be a very heavy lean here. I think we've seen what Zhumagulov can do at the UFC level. I don't think it was a bad performance. I just think that the flyweight division is officially, being put in the real realm of things when it comes to MMA in general, especially for the UFC. And right now they're trying their best to build as many what's the word I'm looking for here, contenders as possible, because frankly, as many as they can build, it's just going to highlight a division that requires more and more. We talked about something very, very specific when it comes to the flyweight division, right? Rankings. You just brought up how on Tapology, we've got Albazi and Zhumagulov sitting at 16 and 17, right? So when you look at that, and Jose Torres, by the way, is sitting at 21. So there's for me, there's definitely some things that at the end of the day, the UFC is your Walmart, right? That is your big, your one-stop shop, your everyone's watching type of thing. So at the end of the day, it's going to dictate rankings for sure. But like we talked about on the show there, the rankings in that division are going to start really, you know, hashing itself out, I think, over the next year or so, especially on a global level, because we're going to start seeing these fighters kind of come up now. The divisions are getting popular. The fights are getting popular. That's kind of what we want.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you said it best, and over the next year, it's really going to figure itself out. So, you know, I'm excited about this one. It's going to be a good one. What do you have in terms of a line projection here?
Yeah, so like let's just kick it off right now by kind of touching on the point that I left off with Amir Albazi looking to be the favorite here. I think he's been able to showcase different facets of his game. I think in this case, you know, when you look at the direct comparison, I think the slight height and reach and the way he fights you, it's going to make him the longer fighter. That's the part I really like about him. You know, Zhumagulov likes to land. He's going to land strikes, you know what I mean? But I think the defense of Amir Albazi and the overall game is going to be the final straw. So let's go with Amir Albazi at a minus one. Yo, your reaction right there changed my mind so quickly there, man.
No, don't go by that at all, yeah. I'm just
all right, sick. Okay, original. Minus 280 Amir Albazi.
So it's funny, even when I was analyzing the fights, I expected you know, Albazi to be a favorite or a pretty big favorite, actually. And that's kind of why I've been holding back my smile here, is that I myself was shocked. So I can only imagine how shocked you will be. But Zhumagulov is actually the favorite here. It's not by much, but he is a minus 125 favorite. And I was actually surprised to see that Amir Albazi was not the favorite in general.
Yeah, so I should have gone the other way, asshole. No, I'm just kidding. So my big thing there is, you know, we talked about how this division is trying to hash itself out. You know, the rankings, if there's so many discrepancies in the rankings, like the lines themselves are going to be hard to call. You know, like we talked about with Torres, the fact of the matter is he was able to deal with Amir Albazi pretty handedly over in Brave. So, you know, he's now coming over to a man who's now got some UFC experience under his belt, and his highlight reel is for real. Like, he's taken on some of the better Russian fighters that we've seen at the flyweight level in the UFC over his career out in Russia. So, you know, he might be getting a lot of bump in that regard too. His fight style is it's not like he's not a great fighter, man. The real thing is about mixing it up in his fight. I think speed and endurance, like true flyweight capability, is going to be what kind of dictates the pace here. And if he's able to land the big shots and kind of getting close, I think wrestling and being on top is going to be his play. I really think if he's able to, because, I mean, they both like to run the takedowns. I think there's enough. I mean, a combined almost 5 per fight. That's a pretty big number for both guys. So I think there's a good chance we're going to see a great mix of things. You know, I think Amir Albazi, man, when you look at the numbers, he's fundamentally the better fighter. I think we might see an upset there.
At plus 100, you know I like those odds, so stay tuned for that one, but it's going to be a close one. So that was an absolute treat. That wraps up UFC 257. Enjoy the card this weekend, guys. It's going to be a real treat. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe, hit that bell button. Make sure you give us a follow on Instagram, Twitter. All our information is below. And yeah, it's going to be a good one. Anything else you want to touch on, Siraj?
Happy birthday to the GOAT. Peace.
Later, guys.